Alright, we're going to look at the ways that we can prove triangles similar. First, let's look at the ways we prove triangles congruent. We proved triangles congruent last year by side, 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 where three pairs of sides were congruent. Side, angle, side. Angle, side, angle. Angle, angle, side. And a hypotenuse leg. Now, what's important about, well, and the difference between these two is that in this first one, the side is included between the two angles. It's angle, side, angle. It's in that order. Whereas angle, angle, side, the side is not in between the two angles that we have congruent. And then same thing here, with our angle is included between the two sides. So same type of idea. Now the way we prove triangles similar, we're going to have side, side, side similarity. But if you remember, in similar triangles, the angles are congruent, but the sides are proportional. So we're going to have to prove the sides, three pairs of sides are proportional, not that they're congruent. We also have side, angle, side similarity, where we have two pairs of sides similar and one pair of angles congruent that's included. And then angle, angle similarity. Notice I don't have that other side. So it's kind of like these two put together. We don't need that extra side. And there is no HL with this. So these are the three ways that we're going to prove triangles similar. And here we look at them. Angle, angle. If two corresponding angles are congruent, then the triangles are similar. In this first one, are these two triangles similar? Well, angle A is 75, angle D is 75. That's one pair of angles congruent. Angle C is 31, angle F is 31 as well. Zoom in a little bit. So we have two pairs of angles congruent. Now, because those two have to be congruent, and those two are congruent, and all three angles add up to 180, these angles are congruent as well, but we don't need them. So, yes, these are similar. We have to make sure we have the right things line up. A goes with D, so they go first. B goes with E, because they're the ones that didn't have anything labeled, and C goes with F, so we get this. Of course, you could label them in any order, but A has to go with D, B has to go with E, and C has to go with F. If we look at a diagram like this, remember vertical angles, these angles that make a bow tie, if you will, are congruent. There are angles that are across from each other. So those angles are congruent, and angle V is congruent to angle Y, so we have two pairs of angles congruent, and that's all we need. So, yes, they're similar, and W would go with Z, so they both go first. Then X goes with X, which kind of makes sense, but those two angles go together, and then V goes with Y because they have to line up. So that's angle, angle. Now we're going to look at side, side, side similarity. So this is where sides are in the same proportion. So we look at these. Now 3 has to go with 6. And why? Real simple reason. 3 is the smallest side out of this triangle. 6 is the smallest side out of this triangle. So if they were to line up, the smallest ones have to go together. Then 5 and 10 are the biggest sides. They have to go together. And then 4 and 8 are the middlest sides, so they go together. And we line up and see if they're the same. 3 over 6, 4 over 8, 5 over 10 is all 1/2. So yes, they are similar. And QPR is similar to triangle TSU. Q is between the small and the big side, so is T, so they go together. P is between the small and the middle, S is between the small and the middle. And then R and U have to go together as well. So again, it's very important which letters line up with which letters. Here, 30 is the smallest, it'll have to go with 24. 35 is the biggest, it'd have to go with 28. And 32 goes with 25, But if we were to put these in our calculator, these last two fractions do not equal, so no. Side, side, side similarity doesn't work, and we don't have any angles congruent, so we can't prove that these two triangles are similar, so no. Then we have our mixture, side angle side, where we have two pairs of sides that are proportional, and the included angle, the angle in between those two pairs of sides are congruent. So here, K and N are congruent, and then the two sides around them, KJ and KL, NM and NP, we'll see if those are similar. So 6 has to go with 8 because they're both the smallest, and 15 and 20 has to go together because they're the biggest. So another way to see if their ratios are equal is cross multiply. 20 times 6 is 120, 8 times 15 is 120. Or, if we were just to simplify, they both simplify to 3/4. Or, if we were to divide, they both equal 0.75. So either way, we have three different ways to prove that they're equal. So we have two pairs of sides proportional, and we have the angle included congruent, so the triangles are congruent or similar by side angle side. So K goes with N, J, which touches the small side and the non-numbered side, goes with M, which goes with the small side and the non-numbered side, and then L has to go with P. Here, we have a couple different options. Now, angle A goes with angle A. They overlap. Here we have the smaller triangle, and you can see the bigger triangle has A as an angle as well. So angle A is obviously congruent to angle A because they're the same thing. But now we need to see if 15 goes with this whole side. 15 is a side of a triangle, and AB is a side of a triangle. So 15 over 25, and we want to see if it's equal to 12 over 21, and they're not equal. We put them in our calculator, and we got that they were not equal, so no, they're not similar. Because we had an angle congruent, but we didn't have our sides proportional. So that's what we're dealing with. Three different ways, so they don't have to be similar. Obviously it's nice if they're similar, but they don't have to be. State if the triangles in each pair are similar. If so, state how you know they are similar. Complete the similarity statement. That's the similarity statement, saying what triangle is similar to what triangle. And then if they are, write the proportions of the sides and the congruent angles. So here, we have no angles given, so we'd have to be looking at side, side, side. And again, we line up the sides that go together. 8 is the smallest from the top one. 12 is the smallest from the bottom one. 18 is the biggest one from the top one. 27 is the biggest from the bottom. And 16 and 24 are the middle ones. They all equal 2/3. So by side, side, side similarity, notice we have that extra symbol. The two triangles are similar. And we have to make sure we get things to line up. T goes with D, S goes with E, R goes with F. So we have our sides that go together. So really, this is the same thing as this, but instead of the numbers, we put those segments. And then the letters go together as well. T goes with D, so angle T goes congruent to angle D, angle S is congruent to angle E, and angle R is congruent to angle F. And we can use one letter because there's only one angle at each letter. Here, again, we know vertical angles are congruent. But if we look at the other angles, well, we got 44 and 47. And whatever this is, I guess we could figure this out. If we do 180 minus 47 minus 65, we can get to 68. So this has to be 68 because vertical angles are congruent. And 180 minus 68 minus 44, this is 68. And there's only one pair of angles congruent. So no segments are proportional because we don't have any proportions, and not two pairs of angles congruent. So unfortunately, not similar. Number 3, Maybe we'll zoom in a little bit here. We have angle T congruent to angle T because they overlap again. And remember what these symbols mean. These symbols mean that the lines are parallel. So if the lines are parallel, these angles are congruent because of corresponding angles being congruent. If we have parallel lines, corresponding angles are congruent. So it's something what you did last year. So angle TLK, and we can't just say L because there's three angles here, is congruent to angle V. We also could have said that these angles are congruent by the same reason. But we only need two pairs of angles, and I already had angle T congruent. So we have two pairs of angles congruent, so by angle-angle similarity, they are similar. We just have to get things to line up. So T obviously lines up with T, L lines up with V, and K ends up with U. So we get triangle TLK is similar to triangle TVU. And then we write up the angles that go together. Angle T is congruent to angle T. Angle TLK is congruent to angle V. Angle TKL is congruent to angle TUV. So even though we didn't use these, we had to say these. And then the segments that go together. Again, we can just look at the letters. First and second, first and second. Second and third, second and third. Then first and third go together, and that's how we get the letters that line up. Again, it's all about getting the right things to line up. Number 4 here, these angles are congruent because vertical angles are congruent. We look at the sides. Well, 12 has to go with 28 because they're both the smallest out of both triangles, and 18 has to go to 42. And if we cross multiply, or if we divide, they are equal. So we have side, angle, side. We have the side, angle, side. So you can see the angles that are congruent are in between the sides that are proportional. And that's what makes side, angle, side similarity. So we get everything that lines up. BAC is congruent to GAH, angle B is congruent to angle H, and angle C is congruent to angle G. We couldn't just say angle A is congruent to angle A because there's a bunch of angle A's here. And then we write the letters to go together. And again, first and second, and so on. So yes, these two triangles are similar by side, angle, side. Last one here, overlapping triangles again. So we have angle M congruent to angle M. Then we have to see if the sides are proportional. Again, this would be by side, angle, side similarity if it were true. But 18 over 66 is not the same as 27 over 98. So it doesn't work. So no, only one pair of angles are congruent and the sides are not proportional. So it all comes down to these three things. Angle-angle similarity, where two pairs of angles are congruent. Side-side-side similarity, where three pairs of sides are all the same proportion. They all divide out to be the same thing. Or a mixture, side-angle-side, where the angle in between the two pairs of sides that are proportional are congruent. Then we have congruent or similar triangles.